Hello, and you're very welcome along to another edition of the JMac podcast. I'm John Mahan. Of course, the podcast is kindly brought to you by yourgarage.com. Use my program JMac podcast to get 15% off on the website well into the championship. Gears have organised on orgaretro.com. And today I'm joined by former Galway footballer Finian Hanley to run the rule on all of the championship action and, of course, this weekend's championship action. So really look forward to chatting to Finian today. He's a happy man up in Galway. They're into another Connacht final after getting over the line against Roscommon yesterday. So the form must be good today, Finian.
Form is good, John. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're getting ready to head down the N17 to Castlebar in 2 weeks' time, which is brilliant. Another kind of final, like Galway Mayo final, is always brings a bit of spice to it. You know, considering how Mayo went on Saturday, and Galway were very impressive yesterday. I think everyone will agree with that. So yeah, it makes for an interesting one. There's no foregone conclusions. You know, we saw last year the great game it was, and Mayo it was Mayo's to lose coming down the stretch, and we ended up robbing it off them. So look, it's going to be a tight one, but for GA in general, it's great that it's a Galway Mayo final.
Yeah, absolutely. Good day out yesterday. Obviously, the weather was probably a bit up and down yesterday, but like, did you enjoy the occasion yesterday? I suppose.
I suppose I did. You know, we had a couple of beers and all that sort of stuff. The weather was great, actually. There wasn't a puff of wind in Pearse Stadium, which was unusual. The pitch was in good shape. Yeah, no, crowd crowds have been disappointing, John. To be honest, I think you know, again, we're going back to the provincial championships, but I don't think people really care. And
But
Easter Sunday as well. There was lots of, no doubt, legs of lamb and roast beefs on the table, and people were told you can watch it on the telly. We're
yeah,
having the Easter Sunday
the
lunch.
eggs, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. The Easter Sunday lunch or whatever. So people, I'd say from Roscommon in general, were told not to travel and maybe just watch it on the telly and stuff like that. So look, the crowds have been poor. The occasions have been poor. The GA are very, very poor at promoting the event, which is disappointing, really, because you know, with new rules and the game as a spectacle now, it's a lot better to watch. So you would hope that they would, like, you know, we had a bar in our clubhouse yesterday, but we weren't allowed to open it onto the pitch until half time, and you know, we had to apply. We have a license and all that sort of stuff, but there was no. It was really a pushback from the Connacht Council to say no, we don't want that, as opposed to trying to make it a better spectacle and a better event. So
Unreal, yeah.
the event is lost. And you saw on Saturday night what a game, Cork and Kerry. You know, 12,000 people. Like it's poor. It's very poor. The whole thing. Do you know what I mean? And obviously it will improve as we go along the championship. But look, provincials are dead. They're dead duck. Bar Galway Mayo, which is coming up, and maybe an Ulster final, but that's it. So yeah, so yesterday it was brilliant. I was super impressed with Galway. Yeah, super impressed with Galway, and we move on to our old friends.
Yeah, absolutely. As someone said last night there, Finian, like when you look at the Munster Championship games yesterday, and Cork and Clare were sold out, and the Limerick game as well, like, and it was just day and night compared to what, you know, the football and the hurling, like the excitement in the Munster Hurling Championship yesterday, the crowds and the razzmatazz, and you genuinely couldn't swing a cat at that game yesterday. And my God, like I was talking in last week's podcast about the Cab Tyrone game, and there was just, it was very subdued, very boring, not real Ulster Championship feel to it. And obviously Clonus looked quite good yesterday, but we have a lot of learnings from the hurling probably to take on board. Like realistically, Clonus should have been sold out yesterday. You know, the Galway was coming, like even the terrace, Finian, and obviously you were at the game and you're probably seeing it better, but it looked very glum yesterday too.
It was glum, yeah, it was. It was. I suppose, look, Munster Championship is really the Munster Championship at hurling, and like the Leinster Championship, Galway and Kilkenny on Saturday night was. I was astonished the lack of supporters in Nolan Park, because hurling is their sport. Do you know what I mean? And obviously they're not seeing the buzz of the Leinster Championship either. Do you know what I mean? So look, there's a bit of rejigging, but I think you know, look, we're after going from the league, the buzz of the league. Like there was way bigger crowds in the league when you had big teams playing the big teams. And look, there's some decent games now because they're similar levels. Cork and Kerry should be at a similar level. Galway, Roscommon, Mayo should be at a similar level. But all the other games are damn scripts. And
Yeah.
again, you're going to have, you know, four similar winners and things like that. Look, it's pathetic that we go from the league into this crack. and then into the championship again. And then people will nearly say, well, I didn't go to that game, I mightn't go to this game, and it'll just roll into the All-Ireland semi-finals, and it'll be great for the last 2 or 3 games, that's it. But, given where we are now, and the game has improved so much this year, we should be looking at, what is it, the Football Rules Committee. We need another committee to look at the game, as a spectacle and as a promotion. There was just the promotion, the sound of it. People barely knew what time the game was on yesterday. Do you know what I mean? And obviously the Munster Hurling Championship is great, and the excitement and everything. We just need to create. But look, all the teams in Munster Hurling are at a similar level. That is the reason. Cork, Clare, Tip, they're all the main contenders for the All Ireland, maybe outside Kilkenny this year. So, that's the reason it's such a buzz. So we need to get that into the football.
Yeah, I think it's for family, Finian, and obviously you've young kids, I've young kids. It's probably the day out, and I think it's probably the cost that goes into it, getting there, the food, the price of the tickets. There's no real incentive even for families, even for tickets for the games, there's kind of no real family deals. It's not really incentivizing families, and they're kind of nearly turning people away. I think it was €30 for a stand ticket for the Leitrim and Mayo game at the weekend, and that game was a foregone conclusion as well, Finian. So there's a mountain of work that they need to get done, and there's so much stuff they need to get right to incentivize more crowds to get to these games. Get arses on seat,
100%. And there's the ticket prices. There's obviously the cost of getting there. There's Pearse Stadium's a disaster to get in and out of. It's more hassle than it's worth, because realistically, you're coming to Pearse Stadium, but is the juice worth the squeeze? I don't know. You need to be bringing them in. I don't know, what's the promotion of it? What are they getting for their what bang for their buck are they getting? They pay for their tickets, they come. It's very hard to get food. It's very hard to, the facilities in Pearse Stadium are poor. It's just not compared to if you're going to other sports or whatever it is. And this is our top sport. Do you know what I mean? This is one of the top, if not the most played sport in the country. So it should be a day out. It should be everything. If you're paying for your ticket, you should be getting more to be able to go and have some food and have a drink and this, that, and the other, and a bit of a buzz, and maybe come down and promote the towns that they're going to, and things like that a bit more. Just it's very sure, the game will be played and we'll get through it and sure it'll be grand. Yeah. That's not doing anything for the game. The game should be the spectacle, and everything should be the same as it is in other sports. It should be the day out, it should be the buzz, it should be all that. They just need to get way better on that and promoting it and promoting our big players as well. So that's where they're losing out, I feel.
Yeah, it just kind of feels the lads that's in the suits and the organisers, as you have rightly just said, that, get through the game, we'll be fine once everything goes off without a hitch and blah, blah, blah. It just feels the people that are making the money, that, as Mr. McGurty has said on this podcast numerous times, eating the prawn sandwiches, sitting in the fancy seats, once the day is fine for them, it's absolutely fine. And the general public can go and do one.
Yeah, definitely. I think the and you have to be very careful, because obviously it's volunteers and people are giving up their time, this and that's the first thing that'll be thrown at you. But there's so many people, and there's so many people that want to do things. I suppose I go back to the bar we had in our clubhouse yesterday, trying to do it and trying to create that. We had a bit of a preview before the match, Tommy Joyce and Carmanion and these guys and this, that, and the other, and they just made it that bit more difficult to make it into a bit of a buzz. The hurling was on and things like that, but you had to come in one way and then you had to go out of the bar and go around then into the ground and things like that. It's absolute nonsense. Or the clubhouse opens out onto Pearse Stadium. Why wouldn't the clubhouse be open in and out? Come 2 hours before the game, an hour before the game, watch the hurling, put on a barbecue, whatever it is, we had a bar, whatever, you could go in and watch the hurling on the big screen in the clubhouse. But it just, and the kind of council that this, but look, the provincial councils are a joke anyway. They don't care. The provincials are dead. And anyone that says, oh, no, it's great, and Cork and Kerry get one game, will you stop? It's a joke shop.
Yeah.
They need to be disbanded. They're like, we're only keeping this to appease a few people. Turkey's voting for Christmas. They're a joke. They have no interest in promoting the game. They just want to keep themselves in jobs and this, that, and the other. It's nonsense. Absolute farcical what they're doing, and people are voting with
And
their
not
feet.
going.
They're not going. That's it.
We're
So
not going to. Yeah, I think was it Ed McGarity? I think he's on the Mayo GA podcast, or is it the RF podcast? And he basically said, the answers are at the turnstiles. People aren't turning up. People aren't bothering the backside. Like even Oma there last weekend, and I know Cavan Public. I know they didn't really travel to Oma. I think there was only a couple of hundred Cavan supporters in Oma last weekend. Maybe the result was a bit of foregone conclusion as well. The TV took away from it as well, but. Oh, look, there's lots to be there's lots to be said on that particular situation, Finian, but unfortunately it's above our pay grade. But look, we will crack into the action, Finian, in yesterday's Connacht Senior Football Championship semi-final. It was your own County Galway against Roscommon. It was Galway 124, Roscommon 18 points in Pearse Stadium. Not a bad game here, Finian. I think it was a very good Galway performance, and I was watching the game with a couple of people yesterday. They basically said that Galway played quite well without the prodigal son, Mr. Shane Walsh. It looked like a very controlled Galway performance. It looked like the spread of scores was fantastic, and Cian Darcy midfield was brilliant. Very, very good Galway performance. Your own club man, Mr. Rob Finnerty, he just is unreal at finding space, finding them pockets, getting scores. He was a joy to watch yesterday, but you had to be impressed with his performance, obviously being his club manager there too. But Roscommon, you're just shouting at the TV, get the ball to the forwards. You have the forwards. How did they not get more ball up front? It was just beyond belief. But you were happy leaving the stadium yesterday, I'd say.
I was, yeah, I was. I suppose we were just chatting there about after the game, and the easy thing, and maybe the Irish thing to do, is to say how bad the opposition were. Roscommon were poor, no doubt. They're gone back a lot from what they were. There's just a few tired bodies in there. Enda Smith, Diarmuid Murtha, not the players they were. Obviously, they have a lot of mileage on the clock. Ben O'Carroll was excellent. He was the main threat, but as you said, they didn't get him enough ball. But I'm very impressed with Galway. I think Galway were controlled, as you said. They were calculated. They knew they were well coached. They knew they had a plan. The plan worked. They were able to get their shooters on the ball. Obviously John and Keane in midfield, like Jesus, they're two Rolls Royce midfielders in the air, on the ground. Anything they don't win in the air, John comes in and mops it up. And anytime they turn over the ball up front, John comes and gets it back. And Rob Finnerty owes John a lot for his scores yesterday. I feel he went in and picked a lot of crumbs from him and set up a lot. So no super performance. Full back line needs a little bit of work, maybe. That's one area, where Roscommon got gains. Johnny McGrath was quite poor yesterday. Not that he was quite poor, it was tough day out on Ben O'Carroll. You're going to have top forwards, and there's going to be better forwards coming down the line. So, that's an area that they need to maybe tighten up a bit. But when you're that good around the middle, and your efficiency up front is that good as well, you can ship a few scores, and you can leave a few gaps at the back as well. But no, look, I was very impressed with Galway. I think they're in good shape going into a kind of final.
Yeah, and even Galway's direct run with the ball, it was a joy to watch yesterday, Finian. And as I said a couple of seconds ago, the spread of scores was so impressive. And, you can see the kind of work that maybe, Port Joyce and Mickey Graham and the other backroom team members are really doing with that Galway team. It was very impressive. Obviously, Darcy's performance in midfield was just incredible. I think it was a Johnny Higgins from off the ball said after the game, do you have bloody, is it Pritt stick in your hands there? He just caught everything that went out to Finian.
Yeah, he did. Absolutely brilliant in midfield. And look, Cian Darcy's a fantastic player. He has been for years for Galway, even when he was playing club football here. He's obviously with Ballyboden St. Enda's now, and he's improved no end. And Porrick obviously thinks a lot of him. He plays he gets a lot of minutes in the team. So that's an area we're quite strong. And obviously Paul is still out there, but the boys give Paul. They're doing a lot of the donkey work for Paul, and obviously Paul can chip in them with the 2-pointers, which he does, and pick out the passes. So it works. The dynamic of the three guys around the middle works. They complement each other quite well. And then you've got Matty Tierney as well. So I know it was said on RT yesterday, but we've big men around the middle, and which with these rules changing and the kickouts and all that, that gives us a chance from the off. We've huge men. They're all 6'2", 6'3", big guys, So look, it's great. And obviously Shane was off yesterday. Damien got a few minutes, but Yeah, look, the signs are good, and the bench is growing as well. Dan Flaherty came on, and he's played a lot of minutes. You know, Carl Sweeney, they've all played a lot of minutes as well. So there's options there, and there'll be serious competition for places in the next 2 weeks.
Isn't it amazing what happens when you add a calf man to the whole thing?
A spice of Kevin John will always lift. Yeah, it'll always rise all boats. Yeah, yeah. No, look, from what I'm hearing, now we don't hear much. They're very insular. They're a very quiet bunch. They don't say much, but in chatting to a few of the lads, they're very impressed with Mickey and Dave Morris. They've brought a very positive outlook to the whole thing, and their coaching methods, and they work well together. And obviously, two very clever GA men and Gaelic football men as well. So you can see patterns of those guys and their
Of course you
knowledge of
can.
the game as well. So look, it's no, it's been a I know it started off with a bit of negativity on how it all happened, and you all have questions, but look, for us, we can only go what's in front of us, and I think Galway are in an okay place at the minute.
Finian, I like Galway. I like Salt Hill if you ever need me.
Johnny, we'll do the next podcast live. We'll do it live from.
Well,
So absolutely, yeah, yeah, yeah. Always, there's a place for Cavan people. Always, yeah. We're hoping in the round robin. You never know. You never know.
who knows, sir? Who knows? Yeah,
Hmm.
the sister loves it, not right there. It's lovely. Galway, Shane Walsh, obviously, he was, I think, poor choice saying after the game, Finian, that he had a bit of a muscle injury, and obviously Damien Comer coming on the last few minutes. But as I said at the start of this, Galway just looked very controlled. The spread of scoring, everyone was really kind of playing with that bit of abandonment, I suppose, Finian. And it goes maybe life without the pair of boys looks pretty good. I know, obviously, the talk going into it with Shane Walsh being injured. Like, can you give it maybe an update on Shane's current position?
I think the update is what Porrick said after the match. He was a bit tongue in cheek. He wasn't giving too much away. It's a muscle injury, but possibly a bit of frustration there because you'd expect Shane to be minding himself, getting in the best shape, and I suppose to get an injury at this stage in the season, we're in the thick of it now. Like in 11 weeks, 10 weeks, it'll all be over. So you need to be fit this time of year, and I think with Damien, that's kind of worked. That's what Porrick and Damien decided, that Damien wouldn't play a lot of league, and he'd be peaking for the Mays, Junes, and July. So I think he obviously wanted that with Shane as well, and to have an injury at this stage, heading into Connacht final and heading into the All Ireland series isn't ideal, and that can be frustrating for a manager when your talisman is on the sidelines at this stage of the season. So I presume there's a bit of frustration there as well from hearing Boric yesterday. But look, it was well managed without him. I think Galway can do the same in the Connacht final, possibly without Shane as well. But in June and July, we need Shane. And that's the long and short of it. To be competing or winning any big prizes, we need Shane. And so that needs to be figured out, how to get him back on the pitch as quick as we can. Because look, at the end of the day, he had a fantastic league. He was carrying Galway during the league. He was absolutely brilliant. So let's not forget, that's not long ago. It's only a couple of weeks back. So he was in brilliant form. And we're hoping that, he can get sorted possibly in the next 2 weeks, and if not, heading into the All Ireland series.
Yeah, fingers crossed, Finian, absolutely. Roscommon, Finian, obviously, the opponents yesterday, David Burke saying after the game that, Galway just, I think John Maher had a phase where he just kept the ball for 2 minutes, and David just says more power to him. And I suppose it's really just a case now for Roscommon learning how to utilise the forward power that they have, because I think I've said to you before, some of the best forwards in Ireland when they're on song. And I don't know, as you said, they're a couple of boys getting leggy. They're not getting any younger, and they will look back at this point with that game, because they did show at times they could have pushed on and won the game, and Galway did let them play yesterday. But disappointment for David Burke and his backroom team.
Yeah, I was kind of confused by his comments after he was on about decisions and things like that. Like, Galway were a much better team. It's a pretty simple answer to the question. Galway were the better team. They won the end. there was no decisions, there was no refereeing decisions that would change that. Would it add a few points or here, give or, here or there? But no, Galway were the better team. I just thought the players, their main guys, Diarmuid Murtagh, Ultan Harney looked a bit leggy. They didn't have the mobility around the middle that Galway have in Keane and John and those guys. I just thought they looked a bit, Dave Murray, yeah, look, a lot of lads that have a lot of mileage on the clock as well, and they've been great servants for Roscommon. It's a tough one. Look, they still have the forward power. I think you're looking to the future. You're looking at Ben O'Carroll. You're looking at Derek Craig. You're looking at these young guys coming through, and maybe a bit of a rebuild in the next couple of years. But for this year, it's to possibly quarterfinal if they can get there. But they didn't excite anyone yesterday with a lot of their play. They've such good inside forwards. They didn't kick enough ball. Ben O'Carroll was hot. He was on fire. Everyone could see that, but he couldn't do it all on his own. He gave Johnny McGrath a right good go of it. He just didn't get enough ball, So yeah, look, they're good. Look, they're a good team, but they're not in the top tier. And Galway exposed them yesterday, I think.
Yeah, and even Donny Smith kicked an absolutely fantastic score yesterday. And you're kind of thinking to yourself, why does he not get game time yesterday? And he just does. I think it probably even look better when you're at the game. He just outside the foot. It was a wonderful point, and it does go to show what can be done. And it just feels like Roscommon's just a flower waiting to bloom,
Yeah, definitely. There is huge players there. Enda Smith was very quiet yesterday. He just couldn't. They just look leggy. Which is not Roscommon coming to Galway. They normally come with that bit of bite and bit of vigor, but I didn't see it yesterday. I didn't see it in their big players, particularly. Donny Smith obviously came on and can kick some scores, and they have players to kick scores. I think they just need to figure out a bit of time to catch up on the new rules as well. some teams have spent the last couple of years getting competitive with a bit more of a defensive style, and I know Roscommon were that, and Galway, obviously, every team was that, but some teams have the players for these rules as well. I think Galway do. I think Roscommon do. They're just a bit slower catching up because there was gaps there yesterday. There was gaps in their back line yesterday, and we were able to punch holes in it as well. And particularly, they weren't getting out on the arc and quick enough to stop the 2-pointers. We were able to take shots from that area. Rob was finding loads of space, kicked 10 points. Do you know what I mean? So they were finding it hard to come to terms with Galway's big players, and then they just didn't have a big enough supporting cast to come on and actually put an imprint in the game.
Yeah, in fairness, it's been a tight couple of weeks. It's been game after game after game, training. It hasn't been much of a break for the players whatsoever. And Davy Burke did actually say after the game, they're probably going to use this week and just let the lads maybe go back to their clubs or just let them have a blowout up in Roscommon and go out for a couple of pints for the next couple of days and just maybe relax and just because it is probably I know obviously with the flat Roscommon performance maybe a bit leggy and Galway just look fresher, but it is important that these players are human too.
Yeah, definitely. It is once the 25th of January comes, it just goes, it goes solid, and I heard the word down the line or into the summer yesterday, the words down the line and into the summer yesterday. Fuck it, we're right in the thick of it now. There's no into the summer. This is it. You know what I mean? So hanging on or waiting for this, that, and the other. This is it. You need to be happy. You need to be top form now at the minute. Heading in there's you look at Donegal, you look at these teams. They're right at it now. Anyone who's really really thinking of being there in July have to be right at it now. And I suppose it goes back to the point of Shane and that having been injured and things like that. So look, Davy Burke has a bit of work to do now to get these boys off the turf. They're bit of work. As I said, it might be a less is more approach. Take a break. Hopefully they get a good draw. They'll be a match for anyone in the Hyde Park. They always are. So look, they're not gone away. They'll be a difficult opponent for people, but just confidence and things like that after yesterday. That'll be a bit of they thought they'd bring more and they didn't.
Yeah, bit of a hammer blow, but look, no doubt they'll take a well-earned rest this week, and well done to Galway on getting the win yesterday. And then in the Ulster Senior Football Championship quarter-final yesterday, Finian, it was Monaghan against Donegal. It was Monaghan 21 points, Donegal 23 points in St. Cheernocks Park, Clones. oh, cagey finish to this game, Finian. And we talk about Hooters, we talk about the new rules, and there's probably a lot of talk about the Hooter at the minute. There's a stay, there's a go, and then obviously Gabriel Bannigan very frustrated yesterday. But in fairness to Mr. David Goldrick, he got it absolutely spot on, on more mature reflection, and we all know what the new rule is there now. But it was a frustrating way for Monaghan to finish up that game. They did have chances to win it. The first half was very poor, really kicked on the second half. Bannigan kicked some worldies, McCarron did too. But Donegal, Michael Murphy, he led them to victory yesterday.
Yeah. Look, Donegal. I thought Donegal would win. I think everyone did. They were favourites. They're probably disappointed it was that close in the end. Considering the way they started, they were super impressive. Thompson, Murphy, obviously Ryan McHugh is a injury issue there now as well. They need him. But they were flying it in the first 10 or 15 minutes, absolutely flying it. They just look well. They know both sides of the game. Their attack is efficient. Their defense, their punching holes, their movement off the ball. They have a Jim McGuinness stamp all over this. They were impressive. It was tight in the end. Look, there's going to be issues. The Hooter didn't even work in Pearse Stadium yesterday. They were, I don't know, had they a foghorn or what they had, but it was half on, it was half working. Thank God it wasn't tight enough for it to be an issue, but it can't be an issue now in provincial finals or in big games in the group stages. You just can't. So they need to tighten up all this sort of stuff on the rules and just make sure that every ref is very, very aware. You give people a break. Now, Monaghan aren't going to be giving anyone a break because they put so much into this. They can't be letting some referees' perception of the game be the reason that they're not winning or losing, because there's too much gone into this, the effort and time and money and everything to go into preparing a county team, and then an anomaly is going to fuck you. So look, that's the long and short of it. They need to make sure that all this stuff is in the rules and everything, and the referees
clear.
Crystal clear.
You felt sorry for the players, especially when Monaghan were on the attack. And I think was it Ryan O'Toole had the ball in his hands and he was about to kick it back in. And I think Finian, the pure confusion on the players' face, and Jack McCarron and the rest of the guys there, and as you said, they put in such a big effort and the time and money spent and training, you put in so much effort. I think it really will need to be crystal clear. And there is so much player, with the rules for the managers, so the players keep up with. And I think any little link in the chain, especially such high stake game like it was yesterday in Clones, it just leads to confusion, leads to frustration. So in fairness, David did get the rule right, but just as you said, these things will need to be ironed out for the big games coming up.
Yeah, definitely. And it can't be a case that Crow Park, everything is fine. We've Crow Park sorted and we've all our stuff there. There's only 2 games in Crow Park or 3 games in Crow Park. You know what I mean? That's every other stadium has to be sorted as well. And just Pearse Stadium or Clones or wherever it is, it needs to be. They need to be bang on all this and make sure that everything is working. And possibly bringing the referees in for another rules day or whatever it is before the group stages, or maybe in the next week or two. I know there's constant dialogue and things like that, but there needs to be maybe just look at over the last 3-4 games any issues or anything that has come up for discussion and iron them out. Because look, yesterday there was confusion in the end. I think Donegal were the better team. They should have won by more, I felt. But it was still tight enough to have a big call, and it shouldn't have gone to that.
Yeah. Obviously, Michael Murphy, he was just to see him just gliding around Clonechester, and he's in some shape, and it has to be said. And what a season for him to come back. And you wouldn't know Donegal's journey this year could be very, very interesting. But it was obviously a very good win yesterday. They'll be absolutely delighted with it. But the role of Michael Murphy in this team.
Yeah, look, what can you say? What can you say about him? He's Jesus, he looks so fit. He looks so fit and strong and powerful, and for his age to come back and get himself in that shape. And look, when Michael Murphy has the ball in his hands, we all know it's curtains for defenders. He can just what he can do with the ball, and he takes a shot that might be out of range or whatever it is, but he just has a chance. He's such an unbelievable footballer. He's one of the greatest of our time. And to have him back is a massive, 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 massive bonus for Donegal. And yesterday, just coming on the loop and his knowledge of the game and setting up, like he came on the loop at one stage. I think it was Kieran Thompson, dummied. He faked the pass, kept going, opened it up. Two lads went with Murphy. Thompson gets in and kicks a kick. I think it was Kieran Thompson with a left footer, then just straight over loads of space. So look, he's going to attract loads of attention and he's going to leave a lot of space for the guys around, the Wales of this world, the Ryan McHugh's coming, Oisin Gallons, coming on and like if you're marking Michael Murphy for 40, 50 minutes and then you have to mark Oisin Gallen, like, that's a jail sentence. That's a jail sentence. Like on Murphy, I can speak from experience, just the power. His first touch is just so good, so good. So look, that's Jim McGuinness won't be overly ecstatic with yesterday. I think letting Monaghan back into it and coming down the stretch, but it's a tough gig up there. They have a big game now again in the semi-finals or in the final, and yeah, it's going to be a tough few weeks for Donegal. But look, they seem to have no more than Galway. They have the panel. They seem to have the 20 players to go all the way.
Yeah.
Are they good enough to win the All Ireland? Who's going to bet against them? Who's going to bet against them with the manager they have and the players that they have and Michael Murphy back? They're definitely contenders, and they showed in patches yesterday that they can dismantle teams if they, with their hard running and they'll just think they're fitter than everyone else because they've the work done. They'll just think they have that extra day's training done. They have that extra bit of puff. They'll just believe that. So, yeah, look, Monaghan, in fairness to Monaghan, everyone talked about a rebuild, talked about Conor McManus and all that sort of stuff. But, Gabriel Bennett, they've done a great job. Andy Moore is shown super, they're really well coached. And I think Andy Moore, you can see his imprint there as well. So look, Monaghan are a threat. No one will want to play Monaghan. No one will want to play them. They're the last team that any Kerry or Galway or Dublin will want to get in the group. So they can sit back now and, they've given a good account to themselves yesterday, and they can sit back and be licking their lips at the group stages.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I seen a funny tweet there yesterday, having people get an awful rap for being tight. I think some man was scared. Why
is that, John?
Some man was parking his car. I think it was a car okay, and put up a tweet, and some lad replied to him and said that he was parking his car in the field. It was €5, and it's some farmer's field, and the farmer made sure that he gets his fiver at the end of the game because I think the lad didn't have a fiver on him and all this sort of stuff. And then it was €37 for burger and chips and clones yesterday as well. So I think Monaghan people could be tighter.
Yeah. Well, look, it's Cavan Monaghan is not the political jurisdiction, so you're all the one in my eyes. So, look, it's what you have to do, what you have to do, don't you?
Oh my God, yeah, 100%. Monaghan will be happy enough. I have to say, but Gabriel Bannigan composed himself after the game very well. It's funny, he was making an absolute beeline for the referee, and I thought to myself, God, imagine if that was Kieran McGeady making a beeline for you, God, you'd run a mile. But no, Monaghan have done very well. I think it's still a very, very good season for them. They can't really be overly disappointed. No decision at the end, and everyone understands why what happened now. But I think Monaghan, in the long grass, no one will want to play them in the next couple of weeks.
No, definitely not. They've some good players. There's some good players. O'Toole, Vel, they're building nicely, and over the next couple of years, Monaghan will be a force. They have some very good footballers. They've replaced a lot of the old guard with pace, a lot of pace. In their attack, they've got McCarron. Anything is possible because he's the shooter, the guy on the end of the moves a lot of the time. But no, they're very strong. Like, it's not easy to replace the likes of Conor McManus and Darren Hughes and Kieran Hughes and these guys. But there's good work been done up there, and there's a bit of a year left in Monaghan yet. I'd be tipping them be one of the dark horses, not to go on and win the All Ireland, but to be one of the dark horses to take a scalp in the group stages, definitely.
Yeah, I think Kieran Hughes even a couple of weeks ago said that with these new rules, he'd actually like to make a comeback. So do not be surprised if we see Kieran Hughes potentially in a Monaghan jersey back again next year. And obviously Darren Hughes basically playing on one leg at this stage. He is just such a warrior for Monaghan. Obviously, no doubt you've come up against Darren in your time too, Finian. But no, Monaghan will definitely not want to be played by any team this year in the next couple of weeks. And then Saturday's action, Finian, in the Munster Senior Football Championship semi-finals. Good one here, Finian. It was Cork against Kerry. It was Cork 125. Kerry 3-21 in Super Value Park Equive. Of course, the game did go to extra time as well. Loads of talking points in this one. Finian, obviously, the Sunday game, tried their very best with it yesterday. That they should start the game with about 9 points into it. Go show how much action did take place in this one. Paddy Clifford sent off. 2 other red cards as well. As Sean Brady got sent off as well for Cork. And I suppose people were giving out about the referees before us, but there was so much happening. It was an incredible game of football and still a bit of feist. I seen a picture there yesterday, David Clifford, one of the Cork guys. And, there is still that bit of rivalry and tension. Like a lot of people said, the rivalry is gone. I know the scoreline in recent years has really drifted off, but there is still that bit of bite.
Yeah, yeah, of course there is. Of course there is. There would be. Look, whilst the games themselves have petered a bit because of the gulf in class between the two counties, Saturday was a game for the ages. It was absolutely brilliant. I think Kerry were a bit naive. They should have been more, they should have put that game to bed early doors and managed it. But look, the conditions were poor, really, really hard conditions as well. And a sending off in the game now with the new rules, is a massive, massive thing. It's absolutely the gaps. There was 2v1s, 3v1s. You just don't have enough bodies to clog up the back line. And there was so many times Cork were able to go one side, go the left side, and once they got it over to the blind side, there was guys in acres of space to take shots. So look, it was biting it. It was just Cork's intensity in coming back. And look, on their home patch as well, they're not going to lie down. You hope they wouldn't lie down, and they have over the last few years. I think Kerry were slightly better. Obviously, Clifford is always going to give you that chance of staying in the game, and he was absolutely in top form in poor conditions, and he was getting pulled and dragged and everything like that as well. But Kerry will have a lot to work on. I saw Jack O'Connor after. They were happy to get over the line because their plans would have been scuppered if they had lost that game. I know they were in Portugal and they've obviously laid out their season, and their season depends on being in the provincial championships because it gets them that's how they generally travel. They travel through the provincial championships. They have an easy provincial championship and they come out the other side and they're unscathed and this, that, and the other. So, they need Jeremy O'Connor, they need Thomas Sullivan, they need these boys, they need a full deck to be winning an All Ireland. From what I saw on Saturday, I just, when there are a few bodies short, are the replacements that good? Look, they're contenders. They're absolutely contenders. Paddy Clifford. I thought the Sean Brady red card actually was touch and go now. It was trying to even it up maybe a little bit and make life easier for himself, the referee. But I thought Paddy Clifford's red card, if he had stayed on the pitch, they would have plowed ahead by more. I think they would have. But when you get a man sent off now, it's all bets are off because Cork are fit. They're coming like a train. Overlaps. So look, Kerry would be happy to get through. They'll walk through the Munster final now and into which is a pity that one game. A game like that, and now they'll go and play Clare. Clare will put it up to them, but they'll beat Clare by 7-8 points. No issue.
Yeah. God, it really does go to show. And yeah, the emotion and fairness, even when Paddy Clifford was sent off, yes, and when Kerry did get the job done, the fist bump. So it definitely does go to show I suppose, that kind of attitude and I suppose that kind of hunger and desire to beat your old enemy is definitely still there. A good game for Kerry to get, in fairness, Finian. Obviously, there were always going to be Cork, but like the way the game went, they only won by 2 points. And we talked about getting road tests, we talked about getting unscathed, so on and so forth. Like it still will stand that game to them, but we just need to see Cork doing that more on a regular basis.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, Cork are just a bit hot and cold. The camera flashed to Kevin Walsh a few times to say he was pulling his hair out at, the start they had and then obviously coming back into it. But Cork bet Donegal last year. Donegal ended up a kick of the ball away from an All-Ireland final, possibly going on to win it. So they have that. They have good players. Brian O'Driscoll was exceptional.
Yeah.
Brian Hurley wasn't, Og Jones, very, very good, very elusive. So Cork have loads of bodies. They have loads of numbers. They have loads of footballers. I know the hurlers are taking a lot away from them because hurling is the main sport in the county at the minute. But there's still loads of football in Cork. Absolutely loads of football. And I think from a rules point of view, I think they will flourish a lot more than other counties because they have those forwards and they have that pick to really go after pace and power and all that sort of stuff, a la Dublin. So They'll be a challenge. They've improved a lot. They'll be a challenge in the All Ireland series as well. But I do think that Kerry made the spectacle on Saturday. I think as opposed to Cork, I think Kerry took the foot off the gas a little bit when they went ahead, and the midfield battle was crucial. And when Cork got on top around the middle, they couldn't be stopped. And one thing Cork, as we know, going back to their days of winning All Ireland, is they have big men around the middle again. So if you want a war of attrition with Cork around the middle, you need to be matching them for size. I thought Diarmuid O'Connor's a big loss for Kerry. He's a huge loss. He's just like he if you look at the league games, he makes the whole thing tick. So they need to get him back if they really want to be having a cut at this. But they go on to win the Munster final, they'll be fine. And Cork will, like Monaghan, will be no one will want to play them in the All Ireland series either. So look, these are all evenly matched teams. They're all top 8, 9, 10 teams, which is great. And that's what we want playing. We just don't get enough. We don't get enough of the Saturday nights. We don't get enough. 12. How many people were at the match, John, on Saturday night? It was 11 or 12,000 in Borky Creek.
11 or 12, 11, yeah, 12, around 12,000, yeah.
It was depressing to watch it. That you know what I mean. Cork and Kerry Saturday.
Well, it did
night.
piss rain as well. Yeah.
Bank holiday weekend. I don't know. We need to. Who's going to ask the questions? Like, who's going to ask the questions? Come on, there's got to be some sort of review of the pathetic turnouts to these games. It's like to be more of a fucking rugby league match in Hull. Do you know what I mean? It's absolutely. Anyway, I won't keep going on about.
Yeah. We could do a lot more. I think the weather probably did take a lot of people away, but we were talking about the stars of the game. I think any chance you get to see David Clifford, Paddy Clifford, Sean O'Shea, and obviously Sean O'Shea, a bit of talk about going in with the steps he had for that goal as well. So there was potential, things for Cork maybe to kind of be annoyed. But as you rightly said, though, no one will want to play Cork, but then there's that school of thought as well, Finian. They could get absolutely whipped in their All-Ireland Series games as well, you see. So we need to see Cork do what they've done on Saturday now for the next couple of weeks and really drive on. But will we see that?
Yeah. You can't be living, and I suppose Galway for years were kind of similar to the point that putting it up to big teams and losing to weaker teams. And Cork are a little bit like that. They could lull now against a Louth or a Meath or someone like that. They could just, because they don't have to really get up. They're not underdogs. So they're brilliant. They're the brilliant underdog at the minute, but they're too big a county, too big tradition to be that team. Do you know what I mean? Similar to Galway, similar to these teams, they need to get to that consistent level and flex their muscles, and start getting to the top table, because that's where they should be. That's where they need to be. And that's where the GAA needs them to be, because Cork as a county, a sporting county, bring great colour. They're the second biggest county. They're the biggest county, second biggest city in the country. So the bodies are there, the chimney pots are there. They just need to bring it all into their into the ether of football. And I know they're playing off 2 plates with hurling as well, so it's difficult. But they can't just be going out against Kerry, running them close, moral victories, and then losing or drawn with Louth and county. No disrespect for them, but they need to be banishing a lot of counties below them first, and then start eating at the top table. But going back to your point on the steps, Sean O'Shea. I think he was fouled. And it was a play on. And I think, in fairness to the referee, if you're fouled, you can play on. He'll give you the benefit of the doubt as well. So look, it's a grey area, but I think that was the case. But Joe O'Connor's goal was absolutely some finish. So look, they do have that bit of class as well. Tony Brosnan came on. As I said, they have a couple of players to come back as well. They've got good man markers in Morley and Jason Foley. So Kerry are they're like Donegal and Galway. They're contenders definitely, and given that they have an easier route to success in July, they'll be able to figure it out a bit easier than the other guys.
Yeah, realistically, Kerry, Armagh, Donegal, Galway. That'd be fair to say. Front runners.
Ooh. Can Tyrone beat Armagh? Yes. Can Armagh beat Tyrone? Yes. Can Galway beat Tyrone? Yes. Can Galway beat Armagh? Yes. Can Dublin beat Galway? Yes. Can Kerry
No,
beat Dublin?
no,
Yes.
I don't think Dublin could beat Galway at the minute. No,
Ah, Jesus, Johnny.
no.
I think on a day, and with again, we keep talking about as my kids would say, the Dua Lipas, the new rules. The I think on any day, a lot of these teams, the top eight can beat each other
Mm.
just on a day. Do you know what I mean?
Current form.
Galway, Donegal. Okay, on current form this weekend. I think Galway definitely contenders. Absolutely,
Mm.
absolutely. And the hangover is dusted off now from last July. So
It should be September. It should be September.
we won't get into that. As the mouse said to the mousetrap. Galway are contenders. Donegal are contenders. Definitely contenders. Obviously, Ryan McHugh. That's a caveat. Without him, I don't know. Are they contenders? But they're contenders. Kerry are definitely there and thereabouts. That game will have stood to them. They showed a bit of class. They flexed their muscle. They'll have a lot of learnings that they can go out in the Munster final and change as well. I do see Kerry as contenders, given the space. You've got the greatest footballer of all time in your team. You have a
Of all
chance.
time.
Oh, there's no question about that. We're not getting into that, but there's no question about it. When you've got that in your team, you have a chance.
Yeah,
Do you know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Maradona, 86. You have a chance with this guy.
Yeah.
He was getting absolutely riddled on Saturday night,
Mm.
terrible conditions, and he was still able to.
Class.
Yeah, look,
He's magic. He is magic.
he's
Yeah.
absolutely look. Yeah, so that gives Kerry a chance. They get the players back. They get their couple injuries tidied up. Kerry will be all right. Yeah, Kerry will be all
Yeah.
right. I see them. I see them being there down the stretch. Yeah, on current form.
I think Donegal might win the All Ireland.
Big call, big call. But again, who's going to bet against them?
Mm.
Given what they have, Michael Murphy,
Mm.
the manager knows the game. They're powerful. They're fit.
Like
They're
Murphy made the rules for himself, so they have to.
of course, of course, of course, of course, of course. The spaces are there. I think they have a chance. They definitely have a chance, and I think they will feel they left it behind them last year, which is sounds mad, but they could have won that All Ireland last year. They could have won that All Ireland big time. And if they got to the final, they would have beaten Armagh. And you know what I mean? And we'd be having different conversations now. So look, they're dangerous as well. So look, it's going to be exciting. But I think those three teams are the at the minute. But Tyrone, Armagh next
That can
week,
happen.
and obviously Dublin are in Leinster. And let's see how they get on as well. They've to bring back some players as well. So I wouldn't ever write off Dublin. You can't, because they can turn up at any given. No one's going to want to play them. That's for sure.
Yeah, I think that goalkeeping thing for Dublin, I think if they get that issue sorted and get Cluxon back playing, I think 4 different goalies this year. So that definitely is not good for consistency, Mr. Hanley. Make no doubt about it. And then the other action on Saturday in the Munster Teen Football Championship semi-final was Clare 218, Tipperary 115 in Cusack Park. And it's very, very good win for Clare. I think it was the first victory against Tipperary in Cusack Park in about 20 odd years. So they'll be delighted with that. But the card at the end of the stick is Munster final appearance against Kerry. So we all know how that's going to go, Mr. Hanley, unfortunately. And then in the Ulster Senior Football Championship quarter final on Saturday, it was Fermanagh against Down. It's Fermanagh 23 points, Down 219 in Brewster Park. It was looking like Fermanagh at large parts of this game, Mr. Hanley. Obviously, Kieran Donnelly devastated after the game, Down getting the last minute goal. I think I predicted Down going into this game. I think most people did. They'll be happy, but then again, they're not going to be winning an Ulster Championship anytime soon.
No. They're just tipping along down for Mana, Clare and Tipperary. I didn't even know those games were on, to be honest, John.
There you go.
That kind of says it all. We didn't hear a lot. They weren't obviously wasn't a lot of promotion, and their teams at similar levels and things like that as well. So look, it's again, that's going back to the promotion of the game and things like that. There was no real fanfare when it came to those games. So, but look, Fermanagh and Down at the same level. Good game, really good game. Fermanagh, I thought Down would win as well, but Fermanagh obviously had different ideas. There's good footballers always in Fermanagh. Obviously a small county, but they've produced some good ones. So look, Fermanagh, going into Tailteann Cups and things like that, that's going to give them a lot of confidence, as opposed to being whipped by a Donegal or a Tyrone or an Armagh. It's they went out, but they had a really, really good go at it. against a team of similar level. So I think that's a positive for Fermanagh. Like Down won't be featuring who Down are playing.
Donegal next game, is it?
Oh, Donegal, yeah. So look,
Yeah,
Down will go out. They're not at the level. They're just not at the level. Difficult for Down. Down have such good footballers. They
they
just
do.
don't
Yeah.
seem to be gathering enough of them at the minute.
Mm.
Which is disappointing because they've always had really, really good footballers. They've always been very, very hard to play against as well. So you would hope a Down could come back and feature over the next couple of years. But and then look, Clare and Tipperary, Clare were clear favourites to win that. They've gone well under Peter Keane. In fairness, he's getting a lot out of them. He'll know a lot of the Kerry lads, so he'll be able to add something to that. But they won't be Kerry. Not a fear of it. In Killarney, Kerry will flex the muscles and win that game pretty easily as well. So, are Clare in Sam Maguire? No, Clare are
Clare's Division 3. Clare Betalton Cup.
Clare beat Talton. Yeah, so look, Clare could have a good cut at that now. Clare could have a good cut at Talton Cup, definitely. Yeah. So look, there's whoever really has a go at the Talton, but if Clare are able to rally the troops after the Munster final, sorry, no, Clare are going to be in the All Ireland because they're in the Munster final.
Oh God, there we go. Sorry. Yeah.
I almost forgot. So look, again, in Cusack Park, they'll give anyone a right good game, but I think there'll be people will want to get Clare in the group stages. Unfortunately, I just think that again, it's just a levels thing. I don't think that they're going to be at the level of some of the top teams, and they're not. But to get to a Munster final and get into the All Ireland is a decent achievement for Peter Keane in his first year. And they've lost some players as well, but they still have the Keelan Sextons. They still have some good footballers in
Owen
Clare.
Cleary.
Obviously having won a hurling All Ireland, the mood shifts to that, and mood shifts to that. So look, it's a difficult one to manage, no doubt, it's difficult, but he's done a good job down there this year.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. They will be delighted with the progress so far. Peter Keane, absolutely. And then in the last game of the weekend, it was Connacht Senior Football Championship semi-final action on Saturday. It was Leitrim 13 points, Mayo 20 points in Carrick and Shannon. Obviously, good win for Mayo. They will be relatively happy with the performance. I thought it was going to be much more than that. Obviously, with the season Leitrim have had so far, Finian, it's been a complete disaster, calamity of all sorts of nature. And to be honest with you, I think, well, look, it was a good performance this weekend, but I thought that, Leitrim just wanted this season to end quicker. They go into the Tottenham Cup now, of course. They played very well at stages, but Mayo were always going to get the win. Aidan O'Shea making his 200 appearance for Mayo, obviously. Congratulations to him. That's some achievement. But box tick, job done, and the Connacht final appearance is the award for Galway and Mayo.
Yeah, no, job done. Yeah, job done. Look, it's not an easy game to go into. Leitrim are obviously going to give everything because they're proud and they're all that sort of stuff. They wanted to give a good account of themselves at home as well. They couldn't go out with a whimper after the year they've had, but I don't think they've been. Mayo got the job done in the end. They're like Mayo knew they were in a Connacht final. They've known for ages since the draw was done. They've known they're going to walk into a Connacht final and try and wrestle the Nestor Cup back off Galway. That's their goal. So I wouldn't take anything really from Saturday. From a Galway point of view, I wouldn't. You can barely even watch the game and take a lot of relevance from it. You know what I mean? Leitrim did well, but in the end, Ryan O'Donoghue obviously is going to take a lot of marking, and Aidan O'Shea, they're going to take serious marking, and how Galway match up with that is going to be interesting. It's going to be very interesting because obviously Johnny McGrath has been under pressure in the last two games. Even in New York, Jack Cosgrave was giving him a hard time, and yesterday as well with Ben O'Carroll. And obviously with Aidan, and in fairness to Aidan, 200 appearances is absolutely unbelievable. Unbelievable. He's never injured. He puts himself on the line so much for that team, and he's still doing it. He's still carrying the can. So if he can get them to rise around him, they'll have a cut at the Connacht final definitely, and they'll take great confidence from last year's one when they played really well. And if they left Aidan O'Shea on last year, they'd have won the game. So the management will surely take learnings from it as well. But yeah, you can't Leitrim, Barry McNulty was exceptional, got man of the match, which was nice to see. But I don't even see them featuring in the Tailteann, to be quite honest. I
No.
just think they need the year over as quickly as possible. It's just it's been a dead duck, and all the stuff that happened, manager, this, that, and the other has just been
Calamity.
they need to sit down and have a root branch and see what's happening and where they're going. Do you know what I mean? And how they build from they've sort of had some good underage teams, they have a good minor team coming, they just need to harness a lot of that.
But obviously, Finian, like in football, it really is a business at this stage. Obviously, the time and money that goes into it, and so on and so forth. Like, obviously, you run your own business, and I think if you were the Leitrim, I suppose, county board, what would you be saying? I suppose Stevie Poacher and his big, backroom team there, like, because like the league was just horrendous, not feeling against for at that time, and saying there wasn't enough players to play the game. Like, if you were obviously on the Leitrim county board, like, what must you be saying at the end of your meeting?
Yeah, you can go over it. You can go over it and things like that. But you need to get everyone around the table, and you need everyone. Like, if you have, I suppose, look, and my limited experience, but if you have perceptionists and people who care, you need people who are willing to just go at it and for the love of the county or the love of the club or whatever it is, and you need joined up thinking and joined up vision, because the first thing you can say is, Jesus, I'm not going to, like, not to field in the game because we might get hammered or this, that, and the other. That's not your choice. The choice is what the county want to do. And if the county could find 15 or 20 players, surely they could have found 15 or 20 players and fielded that game. Absolutely. There's going to be club championships. There's going to be 16 teams playing in club championships. That's how many, 400, 500 players. There's 20 players that will play for Leitrim. They need to get around the table, and what is the vision? What are they trying to do over the next 5, 10 years? Limerick's was a 10-year plan. Limerick was a 10-year plan. It started back in 2010 or whatever it was, 2007 and 8. A mate of mine was telling me that they're going to be a feature in 5, 6, 7 years. I was like, Limerick are crap. They haven't done notion. There you
Look
go.
what
I'm not
happened.
saying, is there money in Leitrim? I'm not saying it's all about money, but there is money in Leitrim. They have backers. We met a lot of them out in New York, a lot of really, really passionate Leitrim people. So maybe it's getting everyone around the table and saying, look, this is what we want to do. This is where we want
But
to go. I don't know.
yeah, like, and I was only saying to some there yesterday when I seen there was Leitrim result coming in over the weekend. Like, and I think for comments to be made like about Leitrim's stuff that happened in the past and standards being dropped, so on and so forth. I think Andy Bourne done a terrific job with Leitrim.
Good.
I know obviously Mickey's with Galway now, and there's reasons maybe why Mickey had to go and so on and so forth. But I just think for comments to come out like there's why standards dropped, so I just think they were just barbaric comments to make. Like, we are, Finian.
Yeah, no, definitely. And Andy did a brilliant job, absolutely brilliant job of rallying. Like, and let's not forget that they lost to New York, right? New York's first ever win was against Leitrim, which could have been a catastrophe in many's eyes. Jesus, we lost to New York, and God, and disaster. But that's forgotten. That was forgotten because the job Andy did and getting them up to division, he saw the bigger picture as opposed to, right. We, of course, Legion could lose to New York. New York have a lot of good footballers. Why, they're at a similar level. There's no reason, divine right anymore, that a Legion would beat New York. But that was forgotten. Well, I only remembered it when we were in New York at the Galway game a couple of weeks back there. That they actually had won a game. So the job that Andy did in that regard, of maybe sugarcoating is the wrong word, but sugarcoating that loss and galvanizing the team with a bigger picture was absolutely brilliant. And I think that's the type of leadership and that's the type of focus that Leitrim barely win games. They barely win any games. Like, so losing a few more games isn't going to bring the county down. They're used to that. Do you know what I mean? They need to look at a bigger picture. They're used to all that. It's not a big deal if they lose a game or they play a game with less players. It's not a big deal. It's getting the right vision for Leitrim football. And obviously provincial championships doesn't help a Leitrim because they just get hockeyed every year or beaten every year by a Galway or a Mayo or a Roscommon. And that's where the GA are leaving them a little bit. I know they have the Tailteann and this, that, and the other, but it's Leitrim won Division 3 and that was their big year. And you know what I heard, John, at the weekend, or was it the weekend before? But it was a lot of talk about next year now and the league next year, and what? Oh yeah, we'll have a big one now. Awfully, I think it was. They were like, yeah, no, and Division 2 next year, and this, that, and the other. Like in the middle of April, talking about next year. It's like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
Like,
but that's where we're at, Finian.
but
That's where
why
we're
are
at.
we there, John? Why are we there? Like, it's absolutely
Yeah,
insane. A lad
yeah,
in early April doing an
yeah,
interview after a provincial championship match talking
yeah,
about, yeah, we're going to regroup, and next year in the league, Division Two, we're just excited to be there
yeah,
next February.
yeah.
Jesus.
I know.
Is anybody out there listening to these people? I don't know.
Yeah,
Any of
yeah,
them.
yeah. Crazy
Frustrating.
stuff. I
So,
know, I know.
yeah.
Look at it. Look at it next year. But to go show, yeah, that's where the provincial at. That is literally where we're at, Finian, without a shadow of doubt.
Yeah.
And then briefly moving on to this weekend's action, Finian, in the Ulster Senior Football Championship semi-final. It's Armagh against Tyrone in Clonus at 4:45. And the game will be live on GA Plus. Well, this probably will save the provincial bacon this weekend. These teams need very little introduction with each other, Finian. It's going to hopefully be a humdinger. Let's praise be God. No sending offs, no stuff, but it's very hard to say that. I think I give Tyrone a huge chance going into this game. I think they have a massive chance. I know they weren't fantastic against Cavan, but I think the performance of Darren McCurry, Brian Kennedy, Con Kilpatrick, Kieran McGear is absolutely brilliant. They can go in with a lot of confidence this weekend. Be interested to see will Derek Canavan be ready to rock this weekend. Obviously, Peter Canavan, as usual, giving very little way about his injury update, but this is hopefully going to be a belter.
Yeah, and I suppose I'm contradicting myself here, John, but I think the new rules, this is where the new rules might be annoying because throwing Armagh, there's needle. Do you know what I mean? Bit of verbals, bit of off the ball stuff, holding up a bit of cynicism wouldn't be bad this weekend. Just a sprinkle, just to add to the occasion. And we can't have it everywhere. We can't have it everywhere. So maybe it's just like you still Tyrone Armagh. There's going to be clipping. There's going to be a few belts. There's going to be a bit of verbals. There's going to be holding up the ball. And if you have the ref running 50 meters into a 20-meter free for frustrations and things like that is what we want to see this weekend. Just a sprinkle of it. So I'm hoping that they've gone with a pragmatic referee that might allow for a little bit of that. But no, this will be good. This will be a right good game, because you've got some serious football. It's going to be interesting to see what Armagh do in goals, how they set up with Ethan Rafferty or Blaine Hughes. How they set up on the kickouts. You've got Ben Creeley. You've got Brian Kennedy. You've a lot of big men, really good in the air for kickouts. This is going to be a right good game, and a right good atmosphere. And I'm hoping, it's in Healy Park, right?
No, it's in Clonus.
Oh, it's in Clonus. I'm hoping that Clonus will be full. I'm hoping Clonus will be full with Tyrone and Armagh people, and it's real championship vibe.
They're expecting 14, 15,000, but it's so funny. I seen the tweet there last week. Cavan were playing Armagh in a 2004, I think, Ulster semi-final, and there's 28,000 at the game. So why, I think from here on in, it's Monday now, first day of the week. Why are we not driving stuff on social media to get as many arses on seats and make this a big day on Saturday? Because this is potentially going to be the game of the championship.
Big time. Yeah, no, big time. This will be a humdinger. Tyrone will feel Malachy O'Rourke, Kieran McGeeney. There's plenty about this to promote. Like, if you really want to promote your game, this is one to really go after. You know what I mean? Because you've got people who really want to go after, so they should be getting access. Add a bit of needle, add a few headlines to it coming into the weekend. So no, I'm looking forward to it. I think it's the one that's going to ignite the championship. I feel, because obviously two Division 1 teams, two teams that have won the All Ireland in the last 3 or 4 years, and some really good footballers on show. Do you know what I mean? So I think Tyrone have a good chance. I think Tyrone are tipping along nicely. They're building something sustainable in Tyrone. I know people talked over the last few years what's wrong but with their underage coming through and their blooding, they're very strong at under 20. They're very strong in minor. They're very strong at underage. From under 14 up as well. So, and obviously with Derek Canavan, he's up there in the top 10 players in the country, if not the top 5 at the minute. So when you have a player like that, no more than Clifford or Shane Walsh, you have a right good chance if you get him enough balls. So, and I think himself and Peter Hart are complement. Peter Hart's not an inside forward, isn't his but the way he's so smart, Peter Hart is so smart and clever. He makes the whole thing. He knows that Canavan has to get the ball in the end. That's it. So Peter Hart will maybe get the first ball, come and get the third ball, and then he'll make way then for the two Canavan brothers. They'll need Matty Donnelly back, who's been going quite well this year. They need all hands on deck this week to win it. But I give them a good chance, and they'll want to get one up on Armagh early in the season as well. So and Malachy O'Rourke obviously is a clever guy too. So look, it's going to be a right good one.
Yeah, like, and I think obviously Kieran McGeeney, Malachy O'Rourke on the sideline, and obviously Armagh going into this, and unfortunately, Finian, like the way of life is, stuff going on off the field, and I know we don't want to come too much about allegations, but potential the Armagh trip to Miami, and then you've obviously no Rian O'Neill at the minute, so I think Rian would absolutely love this game at the weekend, but unfortunately, Rian's just taking a bit of time to himself at the minute, but I think the loss maybe of Rian this weekend, and I know Armagh people, we'll be fine and blah, 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 and we've stuff coming off the bench, but I think this weekend, will we see the loss of Rian O'Neill to that Armagh team, Finian, be pivotal this weekend?
I think so, yeah. I think so. A player of that caliber, you can't just say he's gone and that's grand, we'll replace him. Some players can't be replaced. Why he's not playing, who knows? That's up to himself. Maybe he's just not feeling it, and that's, again, it's a hobby at the end of the day. I know it's pinned up as everything, but there's other things going on as well. So and a player like that, the supporters want to see as well. So it's disappointing, and I think he will be a loss this weekend. Yeah, he will be a loss, I think. But Armagh are still a very good team. They do have a lot of good players, and they've a big panel as well. They've grown that panel really, really well. They've blooded a lot of guys. I know they've had injuries, so it'd be interesting to see what team they come up with on Thursday, and it'll be interesting to see particularly what benches. I think the subs are going to be the deciding factor here. I think when the game opens up, who can flex the muscles with 16 to 20 and bring on impact players that are going to make a difference.
I'm not going to believe any team this week because Cavan played Tyrone, Cavan played a Bluff team, started Bluff team. Paddy Lynch was wearing number 8 for the Tyrone game, and he didn't even kick a ball. He done the warm-up. So any team that comes out of either camp this week, I am not going to believe a word of it until that ball is thrown in on Saturday, Finian. Not a chance.
Yeah. No, I get it. Another, maybe just go the soccer way and name your team an hour before the game. Keep it simple. Like there's no point. Now, in fairness, Galway yesterday, they only had one change from the program, which was unusual. Sean Mulkern started. So yeah, again, that's something else. But it all comes back to the whole package. How do you promote the game right? And by naming it, and mind games. Like mind games there's so many changes to positions now and things like that. So I don't think that's, if soccer, they go an hour before the game, if that's the best way. Maybe it's not. If it's name your team on Thursday, you have to play that team on Sunday, unless you've got an injury. But whatever. I don't know. But again, it comes back to the package, John. It comes back to the package of what does the paying punter want? Like, do a vote. Go to when you come into the ground, can I do a survey outside every ground over the summer? What do you think of XYZ? You'll soon get your answers. Let the punters decide. Well, we'd come more often if there was a bar. We'd come more often if there was more food. If you want to know the name of the team on Thursday, you want to know the name an hour before the game or Thursday. Do you want more papers? Do you want more journalists? Do you want more whatever? Go to the people.
Yeah. The voice, I hear the people's voice, but like even Clonus is a serious. I don't know. Have you been to Clonus many times, Finian, for Ulster final day or semi-finals? It's a serious place for a game of football. The pubs to be packed, the atmosphere, the crack. Yeah. But I was driving through Clonus there yesterday, come back from a wedding in Dungannon on Saturday. But it looked a bit dead now. I don't know. But look, this is the point we're seeing at the start.
Exactly. We'll be going around in circles, Jack.
Yeah. Oh, look at who'll win.
I think Tyrone will win.
I think so too.
Yeah, I think Tyrone will win. I think if Brian Kennedy and Con Kilpatrick can get to the pitch like they can with their size, mobility, and Derek Canavan clicks, I think Tyrone will win. I think Michael McKernan at wing back has been a revelation. They've figured their team out. I think, are they contenders for the All Ireland?
Who knows? With Tyrone, you don't know. With
You
Tyrone,
don't know. You don't
yeah.
know. I wouldn't put them in it today, but it could be next Monday. Could be a different outlook on everything. But I do think Tyrone will be up for it because just given what Armagh done last year and all that sort of stuff, and Armagh are a little bit Jekyll and Hyde at the minute. But look, there'll be nothing in this. There'll be nothing in this
No.
game. I just think Tyrone will get over the line in the end.
Hmm. Absolutely interesting game to look forward to this weekend, make no doubt about it. And then the other action in on Sunday in the Leinster Senior Football Championship semi-finals. Oh, we talk about provincials. We'll talk about this one. Meet against Dublin in Portlaoise at 4 p.m. And of course, the game will be live on GA Plus.
Oh, where's that on?
It's in Portlaoise.
What's in Portlaoise? Uh, oh God. Um, Dublin will win.
What?
I
You're
suppose
joking me.
Dublin will win. Yeah, like how do you analyze something when they've won 15 of the last or 19 of the last 20 or something mad like that or whatever it is. I don't know what it is. Since 2005 they've lost one to Joe Sheridan's Meath. So yeah, so I think they're going to win. Did they go great against Wicklow? Not great. Cluxton wasn't playing. They're missing one or two bodies. I still don't think Dublin have gone away. I still think they have good players.
Nah, of course, yeah.
I think Lee Gannon has been a loss, a huge loss over the last while for them. So they need to get all their bodies on for the first time in the last 20 years. They need to get all their bodies fit and able. They've been able to carry it before, but again,
But it's gas.
goes back to the point. You have Con, you have a chance. So look, against Wicklow, and he's the captain, and he's going to be driving them on. And Kieran Kilkenny has been in and out of the team. So once they get their best 15 on the pitch, they can match anyone. But I think look, they're going to beat Meath. Meath were they won, but were they great? No, they weren't. They weren't. They were exposed, very exposed, and you don't want to be exposed against Dublin. So they've a bit to work on, a lot to tighten up. Obviously, they've had issues in the management. Um, they're going to be in the Sam Maguire this year as well. So Meath will build, they'll tip along. But I just think that like you're going to be marking one player, you're going to just power and pace of Dublin. I think is going to they're going to out muscle and outrun, and a couple of big guys in Coffee Burn and these guys around the middle as well. So I just think Dublin will cruise into a Leinster final and invariably cruise to a Leinster championship again.
Yeah, like what a story it'd be if you're just listening to the game on the radio or watching the game live. What a story it'd be if Meath would get the job done, get into a Leinster final, beat Dublin, beat that hoodoo, end the curse. But it's just so predictable. 60 minutes, Meath run them close, and then Dublin just push for home. Con will start kicking scores, and but it's so funny. Like I was a couple of Master games there last year watching on. Stephen Crooks could be playing for the Masters, and he's still doing his bit for Dublin senior football team. Makes sense, that, Finian.
Yeah. And obviously he's picking and choosing the games he wants to play, so or turn for,
It's great, isn't
which is
it? It's
which is
great.
which is lovely. Yeah, which is lovely. So
Intercounty
um,
level.
I think he'll be starting at the weekend. And I think they'll be up in their game this weekend because they'll know they need to get to the pitch of it pretty quickly because the round robin series is coming down the tracks pretty quickly. So they've got their dirty diesel out, I would say, against Wicklow, and you could see. I'm expecting an impressive Dublin on Sunday. I'm expecting an impressive Dublin to romp home and really flex the muscles as well.
Absolutely. And then in the other Leinster Senior Football Championship semi-final on Sunday, Finian, it's Loud against Kildare in Tullamore at 2 p.m. And of course, game will be live on GA Plus.
Yeah, that's a big game. That's a big game. The winner gets into the Sam Maguire, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a big game because like I suppose, look for a county like Kildare, they still feel they should be in the Sam Maguire. I feel they should be in Sam Maguire. As in, I'm not saying they're at the level. I suppose what I'm saying is that they're good football in county, and with population growing into Kildare now from Dublin and things like that, they should be really reaping the benefits. And Meath, they should be reaping the benefits of we'll say the urban sprawl of the capital. Do you know what I mean? They like Kildare has become a commuter town, or an extension of the outer Dublin area of Clonsillas and the Lukens of this world and things like that. So look, Kildare should be coming over the next couple of years. They've had a good year so far. Really, really, I like the manager. I like what he's doing. He's bringing back that bit of pride to Kildare football. Obviously, they have their own ground back and things like that, and all that sort of stuff. So look, be great to see them get to a Leinster final. A Kildare Dublin Leinster final would be, look, it wouldn't be perfect, but it'd be the best of the bad situation that is Leinster GAA or the Leinster Championship. Do you know what I mean? So I would like to see Kildare. Loud, look, Ger Brennan, they've done a good job. Again, they're sticky. They have some really, really good footballers, and they've done a good job. But I think Kildare can get over the line in this one, and they'll really want to get into the Sam Maguire. That will have been on their notice board at the start of the year. Where do we want to be? We want to get to a Leinster final. What happens is that it's a free shot and get into Sam Maguire and get some big games and then build. That's how they want to build, I would feel, and I think that's the plan for this weekend.
Yeah, I think it'd be so much even for Brian Flanagan as well. Obviously, after all the upheaval in the last couple of years, to get promoted, bet Westmeath last weekend and do really well. So I think Brian Flanagan would be delighted to get the win this weekend. I think it'd be very, very tight. You could be looking at extra time in that one, I think. And then last game of the weekend, Finian, in the Ulster Senior Football Championship semi-final, it's down against Donegal this weekend at 3 p.m. on Sunday, and I'm just saying the venue is to be decided, so that is definitely an interesting one. I would be thinking Clonus, but I think there's a bit of discussion to be had for that particular one. What are we thinking?
Cavan would be a decent venue for that, no?
It would, yeah, absolutely.
Breffni's a good ground.
It is, yeah.
It's right in the middle of the town. Donegal and Down is a bit nostalgic, John. It's just
92.
Reminds of the early 90s and those great teams. And
yeah.
So it was just kind of when we kind of started watching football. It was Donegal, Down, the colour, Mickey Linden, Tony Boyle, all the, you know what I mean, the great football in the era it was, particularly in Ulster. Donegal will beat Down at the weekend comprehensively.
It's only after all that, but Donegal.
Yeah. I was just thinking of Ross Parr and Mickey Linden.
It's just so funny. You were so positive. No, fuck that.
Very negative today, John. Yeah.
No, you're good. You're good.
I shouldn't be. I should be quite positive. Donegal will comprehensively. They'll get the job done. And get to that Ulster final. Do you know what I mean? Again, the Ulster Championship is great when the Ulster Championship is great when the good teams are playing the good teams. That's the long and short of it. It's a nonsense. Every championship would be great if we had Galway playing Mayo every week and we Kerry playing Cork, and this is just not realistic. So, Donegal will. It's a pity that's the semi-final, because Donegal have tipped along into they're going to tip along into the final. And a big final then to come. Do you know what I mean? So, which will be great spectacle. Don't get me wrong, but I just don't see Down. Again, we spoke about
competing anywhere with them. Competing anywhere.
No, I don't think so. I just think the pace, the power, the McGuinness factor, and actually all that to the side, you can have that in any team. It's personnel that Donegal have. They have everything to match these rules. They've got ball winners inside. They've got shooters. They have 2-point shooters in abundance, probably the most in the country, in your Thompsons and your McBreartys and your Murphys and your Gallants. These boys can score from anywhere. So they're in 2-pointville. At any stage they can take it. And then they've got that. Their upfront coaching is really, really good. They're able to find the gaps. They're in sync. They play really. They're really, really tight knit in what they do. Do you know what I mean? They're able to read each other's minds. They're telepathic, and I know Jim McGuinness puts huge emphasis on that team play up front and things like that. So I think they'll put themselves in the contenders bracket this week.
Donegal will win at the weekend, but imagine, Finian, I know I tipped them, but imagine if Donegal don't win the All-Ireland this year and they've got Jimmy back, they've got Michael Murphy back, and just imagine, Finian, they're betting the semi-final again. Can you just imagine the upheaval from that?
Yeah, and look,
because it's an All-Ireland or nothing.
I accept that. Yeah, I accept that. I accept what they're trying to do, and it's go harder, go home for those guys. But there's no guarantees. Like there's no guarantees. I think Galway are a match for Donegal. I think Donegal, Kerry's of this world, the Dublin's of this world will fear Donegal, particularly Dublin, because Dublin will want, what Dublin have lost in their big players retiring, they'll try and make up for in their physique and power and pace and fitness and all the professionalism that comes with a Dublin outfit. Um, Whereas I think Kerry are still relying on that skill base more so than that pace and power. Whereas Donegal could absolutely mow you over if they get the wind in their sails, and that's the difficulty with Donegal. I don't think they have a chance, absolutely have a chance, and I think they're time in their run and they're being well managed, and obviously they have a manager who knows how to get this job done. They should have won the All Ireland last year, in my view. They were the best team, I felt, and obviously we got a fluky goal and we got that bit of luck in the semi-final to get over the line, but they're going to be right there. And I think this weekend we're going to see, Derry was okay, Sunday was okay from a Donegal point of view, but I think we're going to see a big improvement in Donegal this week as long as they can get all their bodies in the pitch.
Yeah, I think they could take care of Down very comprehensively this weekend. I think Conor Lafferty, be interested to see the Conor Lafferty Jim McGuinness duo this weekend along the sideline. Sports Finian, to wrap it up, who'll be your players to watch this weekend and bet of the weekend, and of course gamble responsibly.
Oh yeah, I generally don't bet because 9 times out of 10 I lose. Player to watch this weekend. Ooh. Player to watch this weekend,
or even players, whatever you fancy.
Well, I think the bet of the weekend. I think Dublin will beat the spread, whatever the spread is. I think they will. If it's minus 7, 6, 7, I think they'll win by more than 7 points.
Yep.
And I think the player to watch this weekend, I suppose you can go with the obvious one, but I think Derek Hanley is going to be the player to watch this weekend. I just think he's going to light up whatever turf he graces. So that's the one. He's the one to watch, definitely, for sure. Be interesting to see what Cluxon does if he plays and things like that as well. But I think Derek Hanley is going to light up. Whether they win or not, I think he's going to have a big say in anything that Tyrone do this weekend because of the quality. He's a quality footballer, absolutely. There's no marking him. So you kind of just have to take the hit in it because he is quality, and really looking forward to watching his contribution on Sunday.
And even Dara, the wee man, wants to get in here. I've done. He's run out of patience.
More chocolate eggs.
I have put in my hand there actually, but I think it's Dara McCurry last year. Jeez, he really wants to get in, does he? Well, we may as well say hello. There he is. But Dara McCurry last year was absolutely exceptional. So I think the performance of him this weekend will be definitely one to watch out for. But here's hoping for a belter and Clonus, Finian. Here's hoping for a belter. Will you get
absolutely
any games this weekend, or will you try to get anything?
I'll take a breather this weekend. Yeah, we've been to New York for the game. We were there yesterday. We'll have the Connacht final then in 2 weeks' time. So I suppose to get to with all going on outside of football, to get to these games, Johnny is trying to get to as many Galway games as we can. Obviously, we're on a good run down here at the minute.
Yeah.
A lot more games than we're losing. There's a huge buzz in the county. There's a great buzz around these players. They've given us in the last 3 years unbelievable days out. We're really enjoying it. It's great. It's great crack. It's great fun, and that's why I'm always talking about the spectacle, because I want more from it. We had a great day out yesterday. We have a great day in Castlebar. Hopefully, and we'll be on the road with them as best we can as supporters, because they're giving us a lot. So we try and get to as many of the games this year as we can.
I know they are good days out, I suppose, and the big thing is get people, make it affordable for families and get arses on seats. I suppose Finian is definitely the big thing, and make it a better spectacle for people to go to as well. Salthill going well, club management going well.
Hey, going fine, yeah, going fine, John. Yeah, we're league down here isn't really, it's just for tipping along really. So it's not a big deal. So we're playing our league matches. We don't start a championship till August. But it was nice. It was nice yesterday. At one stage, we nearly had the six club like guys on the pitch at the same time, which is great for our club, obviously in Salt Hills. So um, we three started, we three coming on as well. So it's yeah, it's nice to be going to games watching your local lads as well. The lads
Mr.
that you know
Finnerty.
as yeah, Mr. Finnerty, Maher, Sweeney, Tom O'Callaghan got a run yesterday. He's been out injured, so I was delighted for
Yeah.
him as well. So we don't like that's a lot of players to be without. So we don't get going till June, July, So look,
Yeah.
there's work to be done like that, and then have
I,
time for everyone else as well. And I'm
like
and I'm gonna go and have my eggs now. That's what I'm gonna do.
right, I may as well bring him in because he's never made the appearance for the podcast, so I may as well bring him in. Finian
Very good.
Hanley, former Galway footballer, thanks a million for joining me this week. And of course, this podcast is kindly brought to you by GoRogoRetro.com. Use my promo code JMac podcast. Get 15% off on the website. Finian, have a great week. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Johnny. See you guys.